Based on the 2001 novel Erasure by Percival Everett, American Fiction is the story of Thelonious Monk Ellison, a professor in a university in Los Angeles and also a writer whose novels sell poorly, even under lots of academic praise. Whenever he tries to sell a new book, publishers reject his manuscripts, accusing him of not being black enough. Frustration increases after he sees that the newest book, Blockbusters, is basically a badly written cliché storm of black stereotypes. After being placed on temporary leave from his university due to a scuffle with his students, Monk returns home to deal with his family, and urgent problems force him to consider delving into what he considers a cesspool and writing something of his own. I went to see this movie completely blind. I found it by chance, perusing some movies during a boring Sunday afternoon, and my first comment was, this has to be a book adaptation. On the visuals and directing, I was sucker punched because at first I thought it was the work of a complete newbie. There's a lack of more elaborated angles, everything is basic with a simplistic frame, almost like a sitcom. But then I noticed that the focus wasn't in the visuals, but the characters and their dialogues. Lo and behold, Cord Jefferson worked in The Good Place, and I really liked that series. While this is his directorial debut, working on a comedic series of similar tone happened quite a bit. He knows that the focus is on the characters, what they are saying and their reactions. It's nothing superb, but not bad either, and he knows that the crux and spine of this movie are the debates about culture and society, and the comedy comes from the people and their absurd expectations and reactions. At worst, this movie has a perennial thin yellow filter. It won't bother you much unless you hate filters, like I do. The pacing is also good and fluid, not lingering too much on a scene and keeping things fresh. At first it may be seen simple, but this is a movie with a lot of themes going on, and it's surprising how they are balanced and depicted. And for those interested in visual storytelling, there will be a lot of nice details to look at that reveal information about the characters and what they are thinking. In the acting department, American Fiction is the kind of movie that is carried by its premise, plot and dialogues. So it requires a specific simplicity that can be hard to pull off with the wrong roster of actors. The casting crew chose wisely. While I can't say if the actors in it are superb due to the lack of emotional stakes of epic proportions, I can say that they nailed their parts and what was needed for those parts. It was a surprise to see Jeffrey Wright as Dr. Thelonious Monk Ellison. I genuinely couldn't for the life of me remember that he had been in The Batman, because this time he is actually talking without mumbling. But here he nails the intricacies of a multi-layered character quite well. The side cast isn't behind either. Tracy Ellie Ross as Dr. Lisa Ellison, Monk's sister, and Sterling K. Brown as Dr. Clifford Cliff Ellison, Monk's brother, play different people with different nuances and problems. And their acting synergizes well, very well, with Jeffrey's frustrated energy. I didn't see anyone phoning in, and every actor playing their characters efficiently. In the writing department, I blurted this has to be a book adaptation because North American movies nowadays often need to follow certain simplistic patterns. Characters are often one-dimensional, and attempts to reach a broader audience often lead to the death of nuance. Even art or drama movies tend to be simplified. You have the good protagonists and the bad antagonists, and dialogues follow suit, being simplistic and straightforward. Basically, American Fiction absolutely demolishes these patterns with a utter gusto of a Saints Row player, going into the mayhem activity. But not only that, instead of dumbing down everything in order to reach the maximum amount of people, the whole suit, both the script, directing, I couldn't put that in visuals, and characterization follow a multi-layered style. The dialogues are sharp, but easy to follow. The plot is clear enough so the casual viewer will be able to catch on the thickest of it while offering mental snacks for those willing to peruse through it further or rewatch the movie. It's funny, really funny, not afraid of going into black comedy without having to be overly crass, in fact, parodying the crass. The story and characterizations are the main dish. Monk is a teacher with a row of students too mediocre to engage his themes, a superb writer who cannot sell books, and a genius who cannot fathom what happens inside other people's heads. He cannot touch the simple, and his alienation boils him from the inside, especially when he sees the vulgarity, especially fetishized vulgarity about black people, which he loves, the fetishization, not the black people, is selling like hotcakes. He wants to change a scenario far bigger than he will ever be and doesn't understand why people like him won't follow him. Any other movie would have easily fell into the trap of making Monk a poor, sad, misunderstood genius that behaves like a jackass but is always right, thus reinforcing the idea that jackasses are smart people and you should shut your mouth and listen, a trend which I love. Here though, unless he is defending himself from a slight previously committed by someone else, whenever Monk opens his mouth to lambast someone, he immediately receives repercussions. He is forced to touch and use the mediocrity he sorely hates due to the pressure of real life. Simplicity escapes him to the point even when he is trying to write something stupid, there are small hidden nuggets of art beneath the filth. Through the movie, you see two kinds of problems: the fictional, where he deals with the stereotyped problems of stereotyped people, and the real, where he takes care of his family and has to rework his social dynamics, which is surprisingly and scarily relatable. The movie repeatedly shows that Monk is an expert in only one narrow area. He has to listen to others and learn new things, even about fields he claims to know a lot about. But this is just one of the layers. I don't want to spoil the fun. All the side characters are composed of people with flaws and perks, and everyone can teach a lesson to everyone else. Nobody is 100% right or wrong, and most of the dialogues, especially when people have to forcefully and metaphorically bash Monk's skull open to explain simple complexes. The other side of the coin is also valid. Monk has a lot of good criticisms and points that people should listen to, but their vanity or mediocrity prevents them from doing so. The humor follows suit with the sharp dialogues, poking fun at the stupidity and simplicity of modern media without looking from a moral higher ground or arrogance. Part of the themes are the cultural relations between North American ethnicities, especially under a capitalistic point of view. Monk needs to sell books. For that task, we, the viewers, will stare at how the clockwork ticks in the literary market, what sells, what doesn't sell, and why, even dabbling into the film industry. And I have to say that the depiction of people within these cogs and overall writers is scarcely spot on, even across the globe. They are people, they are fallible even to the schlock, and you also see idiots. Lots of them. At most, if I had to criticize something, I'd say that the movie doesn't express well how Monk deals with the fruits of his labors, only shows how his profits are helping his family and nothing else, and that his brother, while an interesting character, who is a successful plastic surgeon who loses everything because he came out as gay and is in the middle of a midlife crisis, is too much of an asshole for a movie that every single stupidity gets a repercussion. He deserved at least a sober up verbal lash. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot to see here in a layered storytelling. For example, Monk's work is subtly influenced by his life and vice versa. And the movie subtly asks the viewer if Monk is also being influenced in the opposite direction. But talking about it more would be a spoiler, so go watch it. And as for the soundtrack, unsurprisingly, it also fits the narrative. It's a themed around jazz, with some clarinets, bongos I think, and it works well with the dialogues, offering a break from the heavy thinking. Without interfering, I haven't heard of any of Laura Kapman's soundtracks, but I'd say she nailed her assignment very well. As for the final thoughts, I absolutely recommend this movie. It's one of those rare flicks that can be seen by a myriad of different people, and many will take different layers of this cake differently. It's interesting, it's funny, it offers a lot of food for thought, and I'll check out the book that made this movie. As for the spoilers, something simple.
One day maybe you'll learn that not being able to relate to other people isn't a badge of honor.
Damn!
I absolutely loved the scene where the literally agent talks to Monk about the Johnny Walker labels. Oh my god, it's really good. And I also liked how the movie ends without a clear solution in sight for everyone, but in a rather optimistic, albeit bittersweet note. That's all for today, and see you all next time. Remember to like and subscribe.